Domino effect of a bad start. Let's start with the classic, the cursed morning. You spill coffee on yourself at 8:15 a.m., and somehow by lunchtime you've convinced yourself it's just one of those days. Psychologists call this negative priming. When something annoying happens, your brain doesn't just register it and move on. Instead, it sets a filter, like a Snapchat lens for your entire day, that colors everything else. Suddenly, the traffic seems worse, your coworker's laugh seems louder, and that email from your boss feels extra passive-aggressive. Your mind is essentially running a buggy operating system. Once it boots up in bad day mode, it keeps looking for proof to justify the story. It's confirmation bias on steroids. And the worst part? The more you expect things to keep going wrong, the more you notice the wrong things. It's not the universe plotting against you. It's your brain doing what it does best, overreacting. Tech betrayal and the printer that hates you. If you've ever felt like your printer is sentient and specifically designed to ruin your life, you're not alone. Tiny tech failures like buffering video, a frozen laptop, or a phone battery mysteriously dropping from 40% to 2% in seconds trigger what neuroscientists call a prediction error. Your brain expects a smooth chain of cause and effect. Click button, get result. But when technology betrays you, your error detection system goes haywire, dumping stress hormones into your bloodstream. And here's the kicker. Your brain doesn't scale its response to the size of the problem. Printer jam? Same stress circuitry that might have once helped you escape a lion. Which explains why slamming the print button 12 times feels like a valid survival strategy. In other words, your nervous system can't tell the difference between mild inconvenience and mortal threat. So when your Wi-Fi cuts out mid-meeting, that sudden surge of panic is basically your brain yelling, "We're all gonna die," even though the worst consequence is rescheduling a Zoom call. The multitasking myth. Here's a mistake that sneaks up on almost everyone. Trying to do 3 things at once. You think you're answering emails, listening to a podcast, and working on a spreadsheet, but your brain? It's frantically juggling like a circus clown who forgot how to juggle. What feels like multitasking is really task switching. Every time you shift from one activity to another, your brain has to reboot. Research suggests it can take up to 23 minutes to fully refocus after an interruption. That means a quick glance at your phone can basically vaporize your productivity for half an hour. Imagine trying to cook 3 meals at once on one stove. You're flipping pancakes, stirring soup, and grilling steak all while answering the phone. Everything ends up burnt, undercooked, or forgotten. That's your brain on multitasking. And the cruel twist? It actually makes you feel busier while accomplishing less, one of the most efficient ways to ruin your day. Decision fatigue, the brain battery drain. By the time you reach 6 p.m., deciding what to eat for dinner feels like being asked to solve quantum physics. This isn't laziness, it's decision fatigue. On average, you make about 35,000 decisions every day. Most are small. What socks to wear, whether to check your phone, whether to say yeah or yep. But each decision depletes a little bit of mental energy. Studies on judges, doctors, and CEOs all show the same pattern. The later in the day, the worse the decisions. You start defaulting to easy options or avoiding choices altogether, which is why you can stare at Netflix menus for an hour and then give up and re-watch The Office again. Think of your willpower like a phone battery. Every choice drains a little power. By the end of the day, you're running on 3%, desperately looking for a charger. Mental time travel, the productivity black hole. Half of your waking life, your brain isn't even in the present. It's wandering, rehashing embarrassing moments from high school, or fast-forwarding to catastrophes that haven't happened yet. This constant mental time travel isn't harmless. Researchers at Harvard found that people reported being less happy, when their minds wandered, no matter where they wandered to. Thinking about winning the lottery didn't make people happier than thinking about doing chores. In fact, even daydreaming about something good often felt worse than simply paying attention to folding laundry. So when your brain hijacks your focus to replay that one awkward joke you told in 2016, it's not just wasting your time, it's quietly lowering your mood. The social slip-ups that haunt you, few things ruin a day faster than a tiny social mistake. Saying the wrong thing in a meeting, forgetting someone's name, waving at someone who wasn't waving at you. These errors stick because your brain treats them like physical pain. In fact, brain scans show that social rejection and embarrassment activate the same neural pathways as being burned or cut. That's why remembering your 7th grade talent show performance can still make you physically cringe 10 years later. This is called the social pain overlap theory. Your brain evolved to treat social rejection seriously. Back in the caveman days, being excluded from the group really could mean death. Today, it just means you'll lie awake at 2 a.m., replaying that time you called your teacher Mom. Overthinking the tiny mistakes. One last glitch, the way your brain loves to overanalyze minor errors. You trip on the stairs, forget your password, send an email without an attachment, and then spend an absurd amount of time obsessing about it. This comes from the default mode network, a set of brain regions that lights up when you're not focused on the outside world. Instead of quietly resting, it replays mistakes on loop, turning molehills into mountains. It's like having a background app that constantly eats your battery. And unless you deliberately redirect your attention, the replay cycle can last all day.